If I said the name to you, Vilfredo Pareto, you'd probably think I was talking about an Italian wonder kid that you could sign at the start of FM24 for under £1,000,000, right? Wrong. But what if I also told you that in today's video, we're going to be learning about a common data analysis technique that can be a useful practice for how you think about improving at Football Manager? Well, you probably start to switch off and start thinking about clicking one of these videos down here on the right. That one looks pretty good actually, you should probably add that to your watch later. But don't go anywhere yet, because in fewer than 6 minutes, I am going to revolutionise the way you think about Football Manager features, deliver tips that will help you get into a winning habit on FM24, and demonstrate some Excel graphical wizardry under the context of Football Manager for those interested in how your real office job can benefit from your fake office job that you play all the time. Everything is timestamped, so skip forward to the sections you're interested in if you want to. We're starting our 6-minute timer as of now. Let's go. So, Pareto analysis, invented by the aforementioned Vilfredo at the turn of the 20th century, is built upon the principle that there is often a disproportionate balance between input factors and outcomes in any given production. You may have heard this referred to as the 80-20 rule, in that 80% of a target outcome can be achieved by doing just 20% of the work at hand. In this video then, we're going to split out what we believe to be the big buckets of learning areas in Football Manager. We will then prioritise these and plot them against an axis that represents how important they are to master in order to drive results. As a quick example of something insignificant and low importance, we would call out how to use the medical centre feature to stay on top of injury risks as both something very straightforward and not of the utmost importance to familiarise yourself with, given that the majority of the decision points here come in the pre-game tactics phase. Okay then, so let's have a look at how I've bucketed up the features and indeed lessons to be learned in Football Manager, shall we? Now, one thing I will say at this point is that the beauty of this exercise and why we are hoping to wrap it in under 6 minutes is that everything on screen right now, with a few exceptions, is essentially a menu for what's to come in future FM Immortal videos. So if you want to learn more about any of this stuff and you like what you're hearing so far in this video, why not hit that lovely little subscribe button for me, or at least the like button. Come on guys, it's nearly Christmas. So on screen right now then we have our 10 major buckets, each of which constitutes sub-features of varying size and each of which is of course of varying complexity and importance. There's a lot under the bonnet here, which we will briefly explain, but we've got things like tactics, that is your style of play, your roles, your team and player instructions, and your plans B and C. Routines, which cover corners, free kicks and throw-ins. Motivation, which is your individual player targets, your contract incentives and your manager build itself. Dialogue, which is your player interactions, your dressing room talks, your media handling skills. Squad depth then, which is your size of squad, rotation, experience levels and versatility. Dynamics, which are the player promises, the happiness, the hierarchy and your leadership. Development, which is training, mentoring, facilities and your youth system. Then key staff, which we think are the coaches, the physios and the scouts. Other staff, which we think constitute director of football, analysts, loan managers, etc. And finally, finances, which are obviously the budgets, the board requests, cutting costs and managing turnarounds. So yeah, all the good stuff that makes this game so comprehensive and immersive, summarised crudely by a handsome up-and-coming FM creator. But that's not especially helpful yet, so how are we attributing importance to each of these buckets? Well, we've considered how many touch points and subsequent options there are for each component of these big buckets of features in FM, and we've adorned to that number an opinion based on our own experiences as to how bad it would be to not understand them. Then we've used a formula to arrive at a percentage of importance which we can then plot on our Pareto chart. Onto that Pareto chart then, let's have a look at how we think those big buckets stack up in terms of relative importance to winning. This is the Excel tutorial bit we promised, but we're going to keep it very snappy as we're fast running out of time. Here you can see then the workings behind our eventual scores. The complexity side of things is my approximation based on touch points and options encountered in a single season, and then what I've done is group the eventual complexity scores into 5 tiers that I've used to apply a weightage to my opinion-based importance column, which is a rating out of 20. This is at component level, where I've listed out every factor within the 10 major buckets, and those factors can be seen here. And in order to produce a Pareto chart, you simply take a cumulative percentage of the total, apply this to a table that's been ordered from large to small on your single point of interest, then insert a bar chart on those 2 columns, format the chart so that the data series is represented as a line on the secondary axis, and you can throw an optional Pareto line in as well for when you're trying to prove a point. For instance, I can see that in order to master 50% of this game, I need only pour my energy into understanding tactics, attributes, and a sprinkling of squad depth too. Now that's something like 28% of the component pieces of this game that drive, by our reckoning, 50% of the mastery required to win. But what do you think about these results? Are you surprised by this ordering, or even shocked to see anything so low down the priority list? Let me know down in the comments. I'll be honest here and say that I wasn't expecting dialogue to come before motivation in this list. But that's how the complexity factor comes in, and the number of opportunities there are in a single season to fail at the dialogue elements. If you take anything away from today's video though, it's that, perhaps unsurprisingly, tactics are the most important area of focus when it comes to learning Football Manager. And therefore, once again, we would say that this third view on your tactics tab, which represents familiarity, is still absolutely vital when it comes to understanding why you are not winning, particularly at the start of a save. Hope you've enjoyed this video then guys, that's going to wrap it for today, but as hinted to, we've got so many deep dives lined up for this channel, and as ever, we will strive to produce something a little unique, be that through Excel formulas, in-game editing tests, or dank memes. We'll be back very soon with episode 3 of the Football Manager series, the link to which is on screen right now. But until next time my friends, adios.